get started. We're going to do mug number 6. You guys having a good week so far? Are you having a good week so far? Yeah. We have about, not really a full 2 months, but about 2 more months left before we're done. So, with the semester, which is pretty fast. All right, mug number 6 says, the sassy, wisecracking cashier, an older woman with little patience for indecisiveness, shouted, make up your mind or go to the end of the line. What do we need?
Comma after sassy.
Why?
Because you're describing the cashier as sassy and wisecracking.
Good. So anytime we have 2 adjectives, 2 describing words side by side, we need to separate them with a comma. All right. What else?
Comma after cashier.
Because?
You're going to describe her as an older woman.
What else? An older woman.
Comma.
Okay, so read the whole thing. What all are we learning about the sassy wisecracking cashier? She's what? Not just an older woman, but what else?
Sassy and wisecracking.
So after older woman, what else are we given about her?
With little patience.
For indecisiveness. So all of that, an older woman with little patience for indecisiveness, is all of that is adding extra information about our cashier, right? And again, remember we said that if we can take out this phrase, it's not necessary for the rest of the sentence. So if I remove all of that and I just say, the sassy, wisecracking cashier shouted, make up your mind, does that change the meaning of the sentence? No, it keeps it the same. So all of that information needs to go in commas. So comma after cashier, comma after indecisiveness, because all of that is extra information. All right, since we're on the roll with commas, where else do we need a comma?
Comma after sassy.
Yep, we did that. So remember we said 2 adjectives side by side need to be separated with a comma. So comma after sassy, we have a comma after cashier, a comma after indecisiveness. Where else do we need a comma?
After shouted, and then make up your mind should be in quotes.
So after shouted, you need a comma because we're going to start a direct quotation, right? Somebody is speaking, so we need to put a comma before it. So open quotations before make, after the comma before make. All right, where does what she's saying or shouting end? At line. So because she's shouting, what punctuation do we need?
Exclamation.
An exclamation point after line, and then we close our quotation marks. All right, let's stay in that quote really quick. What else does that need?
Make needs to be capitalized.
Yes, capitalize make. The first word of your quotation always needs to be capitalized. It's almost like a sentence within a sentence, if that makes sense. All right, let's go back to the other parts. What else do we need?
Patience needs to become patience.
So that is the wrong patience. The one that's right there is like a hospital patient. We need patience like the attribute patience. So Patience. All right, anything else? No? Good. All good with that. All right, let's move on to the second sentence. It's ironical when students say they don't like poetry, yet they love rap music.
Ironical?
Yes, ironical is not a word. What does it need to be? Just ironic, so get rid of the AL. That's one of those words that doesn't really change no matter what way you're using it. All right, what else?
Take the apostrophe out of students.
Why?
Because you're talking about plural students.
Yeah, it's plural, more than one student, not possessive, right? We only use an apostrophe when it's a contraction or if it's possessive. So it's ironic when students, what else?
Don't needs an apostrophe.
Because?
It's
do not.
Abbreviation.
Yes, it's a contraction for the word do not, and we're mushing them together, dropping the second O, so we need to put an apostrophe in its place. What else?
We need a comma after poetry
Why?
because Yant is a fanboy.
Good job. Yay. Okay, comma after poetry because we have a fanboys and we're combining two full sentences, right? So comma before yet. And what else?
Comma after yet?
Nope.
Okay.
Only before your fanboys, not after.
Okay.
All right. Very good. So it should look something kind of like that. Good. Okay, don't forget to take a picture and upload it. Okay. All right. So we are going to use this class to review some stuff and things because I was reading over some of your stuff and I don't think we've quite got it with thesis and topic sentences. So we're gonna practice, okay? So I don't know if you guys remember, let me see if I have, no. But what did we say, what is the definition of a thesis? How do you write a thesis? It's your what plus your what?
It's your main idea plus your topics. Wait.
Close.
3 main.
Must plus 3 main points. So your main idea. So we have our prompt, okay? So what is the prompt of essay number 1? What are you gonna write about?
Benefits and risks of owning a pet.
Okay, so your
Pros and
prompt
cons.
is discuss the benefits or risks of owning a pet, right? That's your prompt. So you're gonna pick one. Remember we said you're not gonna write about both. You're picking one. Either benefits or you're writing about risks, but not both. All right, so when we said that when we write our thesis, we are going to turn our prompt into a question. Do you guys remember that? That's step number 1. So what are some questions we can come up with based on our prompt? How can we turn this sentence into a question?
What are the benefits?
Good. What are the benefits of owning a pet? What is another question we can ask?
What are the risks?
What
of
are
owning
the
a pet?
risks? Right? Depending on what side you want to take. What are the risks of owning a pet? Alright, I would say those are probably going to be the 2 standard questions, right? You're either going to answer what are the benefits or you're going to answer what are the risks. Alright, so we have a question. Now we need to answer a question. So we're going to do some brainstorming. So I want you to tell me, based on your research, what have you found out? What are some of, let's start with, what are some of the benefits that having a pet can give you?
Pets make you happy.
Sure.
Relieve stress.
Okay, so they make you happy. Okay, that's one benefit. They relieve stress. What else have you guys found in your research?
Increases physical activity.
They increase physical activity. What else?
Create potential traits of accountability, taking care of a pet.
Okay,
So help teach responsibility.
okay, good. They teach responsibility. Lily, what have you found in your research?
I found that like people with dementia, it helps them to progress like slower.
Okay, so we can say it slows down mental illnesses. Okay, anything else you guys have found in your research?
Teaches patience.
Okay, they teach patience, especially when they rip up your couch. All right, anything else?
They actually create more social opportunities.
Yes, they create social opportunities because you take them to the dog park and everybody wants to touch your cute pet. Same thing happens when you have a baby, except you're not allowed to touch them, you know. All right, so we're gonna say all of those ideas or all of those things are stuff that we have found out. How can we answer this question? What are the risks of owning a pet? Did any of you research that?
Kind of.
Or have you found it just like peppered into your research?
A little bit.
Okay.
What I learned was that what I'm going to talk about is that the benefits 100% outweigh the risks.
Okay.
Because the risk that I found, it was just like random diseases that they might have a 3%
Yep.
chance of having.
So we're gonna say zoonotic diseases. That term comes from the essay that we wrote, the article that we read together in class. If you guys remember, zoonotic diseases, especially for people that have any sort of pre-existing condition, right? It can like exacerbate those things. Anything else that you guys have found that are risks of pets?
Do allergies fall under zoonotic diseases?
No, but we can add that. People may have allergies. I have allergies to dogs. Yes.
I just got like mainly like that they could be violent.
Yes.
Like,
They can be violent depending on what kind of pet you have.
They are destructive, especially when they're young.
Yes, they're destructive. You might lose a couple of shoes before you get them under control. So they can be violent. We can say, for instance, that they, under the violence thing, we can say that they could, like, be dangerous to have around, like, small children or anybody that has, like, some sort of physical incapacity, right? Yes.
I saw one thing that said grief was a risk, but I'd argue that that's a benefit. 'Cause if you have
Okay.
little kids, then they'll learn to deal with that later on.
Allison's like, get over it. Right.
No,
But yes.
but it helps.
So they're gonna die, and so you're gonna cry, and so that's a negative aspect of them. Okay, so we have some ideas, right? So to write our thesis, again, we say we're going to flip our question into an answer to get the main idea. So let's start with that. So I'm gonna start with the benefits. So how can I flip what are the benefits of owning a pet into an answer? How can I start answering that question?
The benefits of owning a pet.
Good. So we're gonna say the benefits. I would like for you guys to write this down because, again, I read through your thesis and topic sentences, and we need some changes. So the benefits of owning a pet. Okay.
Could we do something with a little more of a hook? Like, pets are the perfect idea for new parents.
Okay.
or
So
something
that's
like
gonna
that.
be the first sentence of your introduction if you want that. But remember, this is the thesis, which is the last sentence
Okay.
of your first paragraph, which is your introduction. Remember that the thesis tells me what your entire essay is about, right? So we want a hook, but only for that first sentence in the introduction. By this point, you should be getting to the nitty-gritty of your paper. What are you going to talk about? So the benefits of owning a pet, and then we need some sort of connecting word. What can we use to start our list?
Include.
Sure, include. Okay, now we're gonna pick 3 of the reasons at random. So I'm just gonna say include relieving stress, comma, increased physical activity, comma, and then the last thing we're gonna say, and teach responsibility. All right, and then period. Do you see how we got here? Do you see how we took our ideas and we placed them into a sentence? And do you see how this is going to tell me exactly what your essay is about? Yes.
There's something I learned in English a while ago. If you're writing relieving, shouldn't it be increasing or relieved and increased?
Yes.
And they all be the same.
Yes. Good job. I would actually flip this and say include stress relief. Where's
Stress
the-
relief.
When I'm thinking off the top of my head. All right. Include stress relief, comma, increase physical activity, and maybe we can say a learning responsibility. It doesn't really matter. Right this second. For your papers, yes. But, all right. So do we understand how we got here? Okay. this is the thesis. Again, it's the most important sentence of your essay. If you have a good thesis, the rest of your essay is going to come together very easily. Okay? So this is sort of like we said, a summary sentence. So your assignment was to write the thesis, and then you were also supposed to write your 3 topic sentences, right? So remember, thesis, last sentence of your first paragraph, that's also called the introduction. Topic sentences, where do those go?
Before. Oh wait, no, it's like
Underneath these.
yeah. Topic sentence 1 starts the first paragraph in your body.
Yes. So your topic sentences are the first sentence of each body paragraph. You guys have 3 body paragraphs. Yes? If you're going to write a 5-paragraph essay, first paragraph is introduction, then you have body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, body paragraph 3, and then you have your conclusion paragraph. Okay? So we're going to write our topic sentences based on our thesis because that's where you're supposed to get them from. So topic sentence 1, if you want to write it like that, TS1, topic sentence 1. So we have, my first point is, the benefits of owning a pet include stress relief. So how can I put stress relief into my first topic sentence? Remember we said the first part of a topic sentence is a transition word. So what transition word can I use for my first topic sentence? First. Sure. What I don't want, first is fine. What I don't want is first, second, third, first, then next. Okay, none of that. You can use first because it makes sense, but no second and third after that. Okay? Any other transition words you guys like to use for your first body paragraphs? I also gave you a whole list. I gave you a handout this morning. So one side has a bunch of transition words, not just for topic sentences, but also for you to use within your paragraphs. Transition words really help with the flow of things. They make your essay read a lot smoother than instead of it being so choppy. Okay? So please refer to that. So we're going to stick with first. All right, so we say first, how can I put the benefits of owning a pet include stress relief here into a sentence? It's not a trick question, I promise.
First, owning a pet can relieve stress.
Good. First, owning a pet can relieve stress. Period. Do you see how I took exactly what my thesis says and I put it into a sentence? Okay. We're not going to come up with anything new for the topic sentences. We're not going to start adding in the details yet for topic sentences. The topic sentence is just like it says. It is to tell me the topic of that paragraph. What is this paragraph about? This paragraph is going to be about how if you have a pet, you may get some stress relief. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And then after this, you're going to add in your information. We're going to talk about body paragraphs in a minute. But topic sentence first. All right, we're going to do the second one. So we're going to label it TS2. All right, so second topic sentence. So our second point is increased physical activity. So how can I take that and put it into my topic sentence? So first, we need a transition word. What transition word can I use?
Another benefit.
Sure. We can use the phrase another benefit. Anybody else?
Next.
We're not going to use next, and we're not going to use second and third.
Couldn't you just no transition word, just say increased physical activity, or just something else that you just go into it, and then for the third body paragraph use last or something?
Okay, so when you just go into things without transitions, it's very choppy. And so that's what we're trying to better. We're trying to get some flow in your reading. So it's better to say you finished talking about stress relief, and we're going into a second point. So, for example, I don't know if you guys have noticed, Pastor Luke likes to preach a lot in point 1, 2, 3, right? You've noticed that's how he preaches. And so he will finish point number 1 and he'll say, for my second point, blah, 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 blah. That helps you as a listener mentally stay with what he's saying. If he were to stop, if he's talking about, I don't know, what is how God is our pastor, right? Our good shepherd. And then he would just be like, yeah, God is our good shepherd. And then he all of a sudden switches gears to talk about what kind of sheep we should be. That, again, you'd get kind of lost for a second and like, wait, we were just talking about God being a shepherd. When did we start talking about sheep? Do you see what I'm saying?
That's how I feel reading the Bible. Did you notice that?
Yes, especially the Old Testament. It's very like,
Yeah.
or like the disciples' retellings in the Gospels. They're just like, and then the people left. Cut scene. Now we're on a boat somewhere. And it's like, wait, when did we just get there? Okay, so yes.
Yeah.
So we're trying to add some flow. Let's tell our reader where we're going next. So that's what we start with first. We can say another benefit. Can you think of any other transition words? You can also look at your list. Okay.
In addition or additionally.
Yes. So one of my favorites to use is additionally, comma, or in addition, comma, whatever, because that just means to add on to whatever I just said. So we're going to say with another benefit just because I already have it here. So my second point is increased physical activity. So how do I put increased physical activity into my sentence? Another benefit.
Another benefit of owning a pet? Or is that too...
That's fine.
Okay.
Another benefit of owning a pet is
Increased physical activity.
increased physical activity. So, and then if you wanted to omit this phrase of owning a pet, you could just say another benefit is increased physical activity, just because we're already on the topic of owning a pet. But if of owning a pet helps keep your mind, like if that helps organization in your own mind, then it's not wrong to put it in there. So another benefit of owning a pet is increased physical activity. All right, on to the third one. So topic sentence number 3. Okay. All right, this is going to be body paragraph number 3. So this is my last point from my thesis. What transition word can I use?
Would we want to use lastly?
It's not wrong to use lastly. We can say lastly. We're not going to say last but not least because that is sort of like a saying and we don't want to use any sayings in formal writing. So we can say lastly.
What I like to do, sometimes I'll add to sum it all up or...
That sounds like a conclusion paragraph.
Yes, conclusion paragraph we would say to sum up.
Never mind.
Another word we can use is finally. Okay. When I taught somewhere else, we used to always say first, furthermore, and finally. The 3 F's. So remember first, furthermore, and finally.
How did teachers said that?
It's a public school thing.
Yeah.
So, but whichever transitions, it doesn't really matter as long as we're not using first, second, third, first, then next. Okay. But aside from that, lastly, finally, okay, how do I put in learning responsibility as my third point?
Finally, owning a pet is a perfect opportunity to learn. That's a bit much.
It's a wonderful...
I'm trying to sell it.
Finally,
You're going to sell it with your evidence.
Okay.
Your topic sentences are just to tell me what are you going to write about in this paragraph.
I like what Honey said. Owning a pet is a great opportunity to learn responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. I was going to let you finish.
Yeah.
So finally or lastly, I'm just going to write it in the middle just so you know you have options. Owning a pet.
We want to get that word count up.
I don't have word counts.
Okay.
I just have 5 paragraphs. Is a perfect opportunity to learn responsibility. Okay, period. Alright, I figured out how to fix this. And then I can think and learn responsibility, or keep all the verbs in the same form. Alright, so do we understand what just happened? So I read my prompt, I turned my prompt into a question, I answered my question to get my thesis. And then from my thesis, I wrote my 3 topic sentences. Does this make more sense now? So when I asked you for your assignment to turn in your thesis and topic sentences, this is what I was looking for. Thesis, 3 topic sentences. That was it.
I thought you were looking for more of an outline, so I just gave my points.
Yeah. So I think what I'm gonna do, well, it doesn't really matter at this point because I'm gonna ask for a rough draft next time. But it would be good if you did not do that assignment or if you didn't do it well, that you start here. Before you start writing your whole essay, start here. If you look at this is kind of like the shell for the rest of your essay, right? All you need to do right here is write the rest of your introduction. Then you have your topic sentences, so you just gotta fill in with your evidence, and then you write your conclusion. So this is pretty much, it's kind of like an outline already, but with some more information. Does that make sense? Does this help with writing a thesis and topic sentences? Okay, so again, start here before you guys move on to the next thing. All right, now we need to go back over the introduction because I don't know how many of you have actually submitted that, but I don't think it's been very many. And again, you need to be able to write this stuff. This first essay, I walk you through all the steps a lot. The second essay that you write, I'm not going to walk you through it as much because I've already spent the time to teach you. And so that's kind of a bigger test of like, did you understand? So, this is so hard to take off. Okay, I'm going to leave my thesis up here. Alright, so the introduction, remember we said that the first sentence, so first of all, how many sentences does a paragraph have? For me? 5 at least. And then I said no more than 8, right? So this is the last sentence of your introduction, right? We got that clear? Thesis, last sentence of your introduction. So the first thing we need to do with our introduction is start with a general statement. So we can make it something interesting, some sort of fun fact, some sort of statistic. You are not going to start with a question. Did you know that blah, blah, blah? You're not going to introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Miss Bonnell, and I'm going to blah, blah, blah. Don't begin with any form today. I'll be writing about today. I will be writing about the benefits of owning a pet. I don't need to do any of that because I have a thesis, which tells me what you're going to be writing about, right? So no introductions, no questions, no today I'll be writing about. So let's practice. Let's start with a general statement. Based on you guys' research, what is something interesting or a fun fact, a statistic that you found about pet ownership? And we're going to talk about the benefits. So we're going to start there.
Owning a pet can make you live longer.
Okay, so we can start with, and again, if this is my first sentence, what does the first sentence of a paragraph always need to be?
Hook.
Indented. So I can say, owning a pet increases a person's lifespan. Okay, that's interesting. That got my attention. Maybe I'll go out and buy a dog and put up with the allergies because I'm going to live longer. Okay, so there we go. Hook. That's general, right? Okay, so the rest of this is us building up to our thesis. We're starting here. We need to get here. So for your bridge, you need to start building up to your thesis, and you're going to include any background information that your reader will need to understand what you're going to talk about in the rest of your essay. So how can we build up to from here to here? So owning a pet increases a person's lifespan. Cool. I need to get to me telling you the benefits of owning a pet. What else can we fill in? We need 3 more sentences in between here. I think the introduction and the conclusion are the hardest paragraphs to write in an essay, any essay, because you have to think of stuff to put there. So think about your research, think about what you have read. You don't want to put any information necessarily in this paragraph, but you do want to start to get to what you're going to talk about. So What can we
Could
say?
you restate your 3 topic points?
Nope, we're not at the conclusion, and they're already right there. This is just introducing my topic. I'm getting there. What else can I say about how good pets are to get to the benefits?
Do we want more statistics, more fun facts, or just more convincing?
More convincing, a more introduction, more background information. You want to save your statistics, you want to save your information, your evidence for your body paragraphs.
You could do like overall people are happier when owning.
Sure.
I don't know how to
So
say
let's
that.
say overall or generally, pet owners,
Are happier than the average person.
sure, are happier than, I'm gonna say than the rest of the population. Okay, one sentence down, 2 more to go.
People own pets for. That feels like more of a fun fact. Pets can be found in most household. No, that's another fact.
Okay, I'm gonna add a sentence right before this one, okay, and then you guys are responsible for the other one. But I'm gonna say, some people argue that owning a pet leads or is risky. However, comma, the benefits outweigh the risks. Do you think that's a good transition sentence before I get to telling you the benefits? Because I'm acknowledging that some people think it's risky, but I'm going to tell you why the benefits outweigh the risks, because these are the benefits.
Mhm.
So, anything you guys can think of to connect. Overall pet owners, so we have owning a pet increases a person's lifespan. Overall pet owners are happier than the rest of the population.
Some people argue pets are a risk. Some argue they're a benefit.
So
You
that's the
could
same
do, like,
thing.
regardless of the risk. You already.
Well, we need something
Regardless
that
of the
connects
risk.
those.
What were you going to say? Finish your sentence.
Well, I was gonna say the benefits outweigh it, but we already wrote that.
Yeah,
But I
we
feel like a good transition to that, since you had already mentioned the risk, would be regardless of the risk. Well, it depends on what you're arguing for as well.
Right, and so this is not an argumentative essay. This is just you telling me. This is an expository. We're just giving information. We're not writing to argue for or against a point. The next essay you're going to write is going to be an argumentative essay, but this one you're just telling me. So I'll leave you food for thought, okay? There needs to be another sentence right here somewhere, but essentially this is what your introduction should look like, which was the assignment from last week, okay? So you should have written an introduction, a hook, some bridge sentences, and then your thesis is the last sentence of this. And then you go straight into your first topic sentence. First, benefits of owning a pet include stress relief, period. And then give me your information. All right, is this making more sense now that we've practiced it? Okay, so we have the introduction. I also have another introduction in the slides. I added these slides into this lesson as well. This is lesson 6, but it's also in the previous lessons. So my introduction that I wrote when my brain was working was about 66% of Americans own pets. And again, remember I told you that is not a proven statistic. That is something that I made up out of my own head in the spot. So don't use that. So about 66% of Americans own pets. Many pet owners even consider their pets part of their family. Pets provide emotional support such as companionship or entertainment for kids by being taught to perform tricks. However, one of the greatest benefits of pet ownership is improved physical health. So this would be a paper that would be specifically focusing on the health benefits of pets, which you can do that as well if you find enough information. So owning a pet benefits physical health because Point 1, it increases exercise. Point 2 may lead to weight loss. And point 3, it improves cardiovascular health. Okay, so we wrote one today together, but there's also this example on the slides if you guys want to refer back to it. All right, everybody good on this? Okay. Now we need to write your body paragraphs. So this is how you're going to lay out your body paragraph. So we already said that sentence number 1 is going to be your transition word or phrase plus your topic sentence. It's very important with your topic sentences that you keep them in the same order as your thesis. Whatever point 1 is in your thesis, that needs to go in body paragraph 1. Point 2 in thesis, body paragraph 2. Point 3 in thesis, body paragraph 3. Do not switch them around because that, again, interrupts the flow of your paper. Is that clear? Do we understand what I'm saying? Okay. Sentence 2, you're going to expand on your topic. You're going to explain it, but be a little bit more specific. So our first point was that the benefits of owning a pet include stress relief. Okay, now I need to explain. So this is a good place where you would say, like, what is stress relief? How is a pet going to give me stress relief in general? Sentences 3 to 5 and 7 are going to be your evidence. So that's where you plug in the research that you have been doing. So take from all your sources what evidence is out there that pets relieve stress. Okay? If you get to this part of your essay and you're like, I can't find enough sentences, I need 3 sentences here and I can't find any, then there's probably not a good point for you to use. Okay? Let your research do the work for you. So whatever the research is saying, pick from there to write about stuff. Okay? So, again, if you can't prove it, it's not valid, you should consider another claim. And then the last sentence of your paragraph is going to be linking and summarizing. So you told me that pets relieve stress. A good second sentence would be giving an example. So you can say, for example, after a hard day at work, coming home to a puppy wagging their tail relieves the stress of the day. I don't know, something like that. And then you give the evidence. So now you need to tell me, how does the evidence that you gave in your paragraphs prove your topic sentence that you said? So you gave evidence. Research shows that 50% of adults with pets, blah, blah, blah. Another study says, blah, blah, blah. And so you have all your research. Now tell me, why is that proof of your topic sentence? Does that make sense? Okay. The conclusion sentence is probably the one that students forget about the most. Either it's not there or it's just not, there's no conclusion sentence to actually conclude. So, all right, I'll come back to this. So I need to come back to this. But for example, you would say, so topic sentence, additionally, this would be body paragraph 2. Additionally, owning a pet may lead to weight loss. That was my second point. Now am I explaining? Pet owners often lead more active lifestyles because their pets need to play and walk. Do you see how I explained my topic? Okay, now my evidence. A study conducted in 2005 showed blah, 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 insert citation. Harris explains that blah, 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 insert citation. Similarly, blah, 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 citation. Smith also says blah, 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 citation. Okay? Owning a pet can lead to increased physical activity, which may lead to weight loss. So I told you how my evidence proves topic sentence, my topic sentence. Do you guys see this? Is it making sense? Mm-hmm. All right, let me go back to the other stuff. So you have your body paragraph, and now you need to figure out how to put your evidence into paragraphs. The first time that you use a source, so you guys should have 3 sources, right? You have to use the article that I gave you in class, and you guys have 2 more? You guys found 2 more sources at least? I hope so. You have to have at least 3. If you need 4, 5, maybe, I would say that at that point you're probably going to use too much information. You only need 5 paragraphs. So I would say about 3 sources. So the first time that you use a source, you have to introduce it in your essay. So you're going to include the title of the article and or the author's information inside of your sentence, and you're not going to include the page numbers. So an example of this is in his book, Animal Farm, so I'm telling you the name of my source, George Orwell, I'm telling you the name of my author, okay? Uses pigs to symbolize the corrupt leaders of the Russian Revolution. So this is how I'm inserting my information. This is the first time that I'm putting it in there. Does that make sense? I have my name of my source and the name of my author. This is an article. So in the article, Zoar Putin by Patricia Smith. Again, name of my source and the author in my sentence. There is a direct comparison made between President Vladimir Putin and Joseph Stalin, period. And then the only thing that this would need is page numbers if I have pages. Okay? Anytime you use information from a source after introducing it, you're going to place the necessary information in the parenthetical citation. So after this, I can just say, like say that I was continuing with Animal Farm. I could just say, pig symbolized the corrupt leaders of the Russian Revolution, parentheses, Orwell. And that's it, because I already introduced it. You don't need to say the name of the book, the name of the article, the name of the authors again and again and again. Just the first time that you're using them. Does that make sense? Okay, please refer back to this when you're writing. We always call the author by their last name after this. So from now on, I'm not going to say Patricia Smith. I'm also not going to call her Patricia because we're not friends. We're going to call her Smith. Smith says, Smith explains, Smith comments, whatever you want to say. Orwell says, in your cases, when you're writing, if you're using the article that I gave you that has two authors, you're going to say, E. Cherniak and A. Cherniak say, etc., etc. Okay? We're not going to call them by any other name. All right. Some other things is that when you're putting information, there are 3 ways for you to insert information. Number 1 is by using a direct quote. So you literally take it word for word and you are going to put that into your essay. I only want you to use 3 direct quotes for this essay. Okay? That means that you can only take 3 exact sentences as they are into your essay. No more than 3. Okay? Then you can have a paraphrase. This is you're reading the same sentence and then you're just changing it and putting it into your own words. So for example, I don't know if this happened to you guys in school, but for example, when I teach vocabulary, okay, I'll say, what is the definition of this word? Or whatever. And they'll say exactly verbatim what the definition of the word is, what the book says that the definition is. And I'll say, okay, put it into your own words now. Okay, that's what that means. So tell me in your own words, what is that person saying? Not word for word what the book says or the article says, but tell it in your own words. Okay, paraphrase. The next one is a summary. You only summarize when you have a larger chunk of text. So quoting and paraphrasing is for short, like 1 sentence, 2 sentences at most, 3 sentences at most. A summary is for a paragraph at a time, 2 paragraphs at a time, the entire article at a time. Okay, so when you summarize, you have this large chunk of information. You're going to condense it to make it shorter, and you're only going to touch on the main points. What is this actually about? All right, any questions about the 3? Okay. So, for example, if I were quoting, I would say, according to E. Cherniak and A. Cherniak, comma. Remember we said that if you have 2 authors, you include both of them. If you have 3 or more authors, what phrase are you going to use? Anybody remember? Et al. You guys remember? E-T period, A-L period. So if you have 3 or more authors, you're not going to list them all out. So you would say E. Cherniak, comma, et al. And that's it. But because we have 2, we include both of their names. Why am I using their first initials in this? Because I don't have to normally use their initials, but why am I using it in this one?
Because there's they have the
Distinguish
same
them.
name.
They have the same last name, so I need to separate them. So according to E. Cherniak and A. Cherniak, comma, I'm going to open into a direct quote. This is exactly what the sentence says. Owning a pet may increase physical activity. Close quotations. This comes from page 715, period. Why is this O in brackets? Do you guys have your article with you by chance? So if you guys look at your article, I don't remember if I have my article with me, but that's okay. I think I think 2nd or 3rd, 4th paragraph. So you guys see it? It's the first sentence of the first paragraph. Owning a pet may increase physical activity. That's what I put right here. Why is my O in brackets?
Because on the paragraph it's capitalized.
Yes. So you are allowed to change the quote for it to fit in your sentence. Okay? So according to Cherniak and Cherniak, owning a pet may increase physical activity. I'm trying to put that into my sentence. I don't actually have to change it for this one, but say for instance that I wanted to. So I'm going to make my O lowercase when it's actually capitalized, and so that needs to go in brackets. Anything that you change. If you were to add a word for it to make sense, so if you need to add an is or the, something like that's pretty short for it to make sense, you can add it, you just need to put it in brackets when you're using direct quotes. Does that make sense? All right. Another way for quoting. Additionally, open quotation marks, owning a pet may increase physical activity, close quotation marks, and then your citation. Okay? So quoting, direct words. Paraphrasing. Some evidence suggests that pet owners lead more active lifestyles. And again, citation. Again, this is not word for word. This is just me putting it into my own words. Same sentence, my own words. Does that make sense? Summarizing, again, for longer portions of text. So that's the entire paragraph. Some studies have shown that not only do pet owners lead a more active lifestyle, but also dog owners in particular have a greater lifespan. That is what that entire paragraph is about, with just the main points and then your citation. Do we see the difference between the three? What's important is that whatever way you choose to incorporate your research, so if you're going to quote it, if you're going to paraphrase it, if you're going to summarize it, you always have to make it fit. You always have to make it flow with the rest of your paragraph. You don't want anything that's choppy. That's why you can use these brackets, okay? You should never have floating quotations. That means that your sentence starts and ends with a quote. You should not do that. See how I say according to, additionally, some evidence, etc. You always need to introduce them. Cherniak says, additionally, in summary, whatever, something that introduces your quote. You can never start your sentence and end your sentence with the quote, okay? And don't use too many direct quotes. Again, I want to see that you understand what you're writing about, not just able to copy and paste what other people are saying. So 3 quotes max for this essay, okay? All right, we did that. I gave you a list of transition words, and then I also gave you, if you flip that transition word handout, on the other side, those are sentence starters for you to put your information in. So lots of ways that you can start your sentences to insert your evidence, aside from what I gave you on the slideshow, okay? All right, we're gonna close. This is the last part. So some notes about writing. So first of all, you're never gonna write in first or second person. You always write in the third person. That means first person is using I, us, we, my, our, anything like that. Anything that includes you, you're not gonna write in that, okay? Does that make sense? First person? You're not going to use you. So you can't say, for example, the benefits of owning a pet include releasing your stress, because that is second person. So no you, no I, me, we, us. Always use evidence. Write in complete sentences. We went through a whole thing of sentence structure. Don't forget it, okay? We go through that so that you can add variety to your sentences. So I want some simple sentences, but also some compound sentences, but also some complex sentences, okay? To add some variety. Make sure you're writing complete sentences. That's why I taught you the difference between an independent clause and a dependent clause. So you don't have any dependent clauses standing by themselves, right? Use correct grammar and punctuation. Always, always proofread. So you saw me write the sentence up here on the board. I'm just writing on the spot. I'm just putting information out there. And my verb sentences weren't right? And that's okay. If you type and you just need to put it all on the paper, that's fine, but always come back and make sure that you proofread. Okay, sometimes it's even just typos. You just accidentally click the wrong key and then all of a sudden there's a point that goes because you didn't check your paper. Okay, if you're comfortable even with each other to like have a friend, a classmate, and be like, hey, will you read this for me? Like just a second pair of eyes to make sure this makes sense, to make sure this flows, make sure my periods are where they're supposed to be, all that stuff. Whatever you do, proofread. You need to be organized, clear, and concise. So part of the organization piece is going to be having a thesis, having your topic sentences. Clarity comes with those transition words and so forth. Concise means that you're not adding a bunch of fluff words, but you are being to the point. Don't use filler words like or that. Don't be repetitive either. You're going to cite your sources, and then you're going to use formal writing instead of slang or your sayings, okay? So don't write the way that you guys text, essentially. Don't use abbreviations in your sentences. Exceptions can be made for organizations that have acronyms. For example, the CIA. If you were to use a CIA website for whatever reason in your essay, you could use CIA, but you would have to introduce them first. So you would have to say, I don't know what CIA stands for. I know what FBI stands for. So you would say, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, in parentheses, FBI, says blah, blah, blah. And then after that, you could just start using FBI, but you still have to introduce it. Don't use contractions. We talked about that in our editing. So no, don't, won't, haven't, hasn't, isn't. None of that. Spell out every single word. Be direct and to the point. Active voice means that you have subject and then verb, not verb then subject. Okay, so follow the sentence structure that we talked over. Use appropriate language for your topic. Use words that set the tone. Help develop your idea. Use scholarly synonyms. For example, instead of saying having a pet is good, we're going to say having a pet has positive effects. Instead of saying having a pet is bad, we're going to say having a pet brings negative effects. Okay, so elevate your language. And then explain thoroughly. All right. So your homework is submit your mug, and then I want you to submit a rough draft. So that means at least 3 completed paragraphs. You have to have an introduction. You have to have one body paragraph. So you can either add another body paragraph, which is what I would do. I haven't taught you how to write a conclusion, I think. Unless we went over it last week and I don't remember. But writing a conclusion is hard when you haven't finished all of your writing. So I would just do introduction and 2 body paragraphs. But you have to bring 3. You're going to submit that, and then we're going to sit down next class. Instead of having class like this, we're going to have one-on-one conferences, and we're going to go over your paper, okay, specifically for you. So if you don't submit your rough draft by next week when our class starts, then obviously I don't have a conference with you. Regardless, your paper is going to be due the week after that. So your first essay is due in 2 weeks, okay? So it's going to be to your benefit if you have your rough draft ready. All right? Any questions? Okay, that is all for today then. I will see you guys next week.